Recognizes the gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Fulcher, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and for holding this hearing today, to the panel for your participation. And just, if nobody has said this to you yet, forgive some of us for having dueling committees. So if you hear some reruns here, you'll understand why, I hope. And I think I'm going to make sure and give you one at least rerun, but for Mr. Hergott anyway. But you haven't heard it from me, so I'd like to get some feedback on this. But I'm talking about NEPA here and the NEPA process. And on average, it's my understanding that a U.S. mine project takes somewhere between 7 and 10 years, on average, to permit application through final process. And I would just augment that by saying we did just get one permitted, the Stibnite project in Idaho, and I believe that was 18. And so that's a real troublesome number to me. But in Idaho, Caldwell Canyon's mine, the NEPA process began in March of 17. It was forced to restart in June of 23, and it's still ongoing after 8 years. Mr. Hergott, sometimes I wonder if we should just start over with this process, but you know how cumbersome that might be. From your vantage point, can you talk some specifics in terms of statutory regulatory reform that you'd recommend to give us a fighting chance to have a reasonable time frame for the NEPA review?
I think the first thing we all need to do is just admit the mistakes of the past. We've had some much of the debate that has happened today, and often happens, and this is 6th or 7th hearing where I'm a nerd, Mr. Peters is a nerd, Mr. Westrum is a nerd. When they sit around, they talk about permitting. It's not the contextual way; it's more contextual, and it actually gives you hope in the world that we can cut a deal. But at the end of the day, the problem is that these fights are not about NEPA. Right? They're about other things. They're about tax credits. They're about other things. NEPA is a convenient statute to bring all relevant information to the table and make an informed decision about whether it's go or no go on the project. And the reality is that agencies are dispatching their duties, are supposed to, if the project does not meet certain goals, it kills it. And if not, you have to mitigate against it.
So is that due to legal challenges?
Well, and those are the laws. The problem is most of these laws, the most recent law that was written was 40 years before the internet. We have 13 laws that were not written to coordinate with each other, that are no longer operational for today, yet we still rely on them. And then we have another 65 pieces of regulations that come out of them, another 180 pieces of regulation and precedent, but it's the informal
Mr.
agency
Hergott, if I'm a
practice.
mining operator, I have no idea how
No
to
idea.
capitalize
If I'm
this
Laurel
stuff.
and I'm at Perpetua doing Midas, Stibnite, or Bogart, I don't know why they got involved in this in the first place. And to tell you what,
So what do we do? I'm listening to you. You're just telling me you're validating my comments, but how do we fix it?
Midas, Stibnite suffered in silence because there was no transparency. They had to hire consultants and do things to get people's ears. And so what? if
Maybe
you put-
I'm not being clear. What do we do to fix it? How do we
complete
shorten this thing
redesign,
up?
Complete redesign in a transparent way in which you can't see ghosts and call it out as an override of individual rights or on consultation. The process is broken, and we are not going to be able to make incremental change in this Congress when it's spread across 6 committees of jurisdiction on the House and 5 in the Senate. And then at the end of the day, the people that are going to suffer are going to be these projects, in particular at antimony, which we absolutely need. And we don't have the ability, we don't have the room to wait another 5 years to fight this same battle again. We got to tear it down and build it back up.
You're talking about starting over, basically.
In a rational way together, recognizing that the projects that are impacted the most right at this moment are projects that are backed by the party
Mr.
that does not
Campbell,
want to
I've
do
got a
it.
question for you too, and I think that my colleague Congressman Bentz asked a similar question, so I'm not going to restate the entire preface that goes along with that. But are you familiar with the Idaho Power Project, the Boardman to Hemingway transmission line?
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Okay, so there is a project that Idaho Power, a public utility in my state, has been working on. It's a project that's been underway for about 20 years. It's called the Boardman to Hemingway Transmission Line Project. And that has faced multiple federal reviews, state reviews, legal challenges, and not only that, but there's been it's delayed energy benefits to customers, and the growth in our state and in the region is astronomical. And so this has been underway for about 20 years. It's the transmission line project. And so we're about out of time, so just very quickly, changes we need to be making to allow those types of things to get permitted.
Well, I've said this before, I think we need to put bounds on it, that you can only litigate it so long. You need to be involved in the process from the very beginning, and you can't just delay with litigation. And our industry now is at a time that we have to have generation and transmission. Because it used to be gas and oil that's what the energy was. Now it's electricity. Can we provide enough electricity? We don't have time to wait 10 years anymore.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'm out of time. I do have more questions. I'm going to submit those in writing. Thank you.